The new movie, Companion, is a thrilling and dark romantic comedy starring Harvey Guillén. He stars as a guy helping his friend survive a toxic relationship. Take a look.
I called dibs on the gun.
We're not gonna need that. I mean, all I have to do is get close enough to put her to sleep and grab my phone and wipe them out from her system.
Does she know your passcode? Josh? Yeah, then we're definitely gonna need this.
Please welcome Harvey Guillén. I love that sweater.
That's a great
This, I wanted to, you all bring the game every time, so I was like, I gotta dress it up.
So, honey, you know, I jumped him when I met him the first time because I loved his show, which is called What We Do in the Shadows. It's a comedy about vampires, and his character, Guillermo, came out in season 4. Now, you've done so much incredible work for the community, for the LGBTQ plus community. So what was it like to have them open up and say, okay, we're into this, let's do it?
Well, thank you, that's so nice. I think the story was a little different. I fanned out over Whoopi at a thing, and I was like, oh my God, there's Whoopi Goldberg. It's like the idea that, you know, my first actual acting solo was doing Happy Day from Sister Act 2.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was my first. There's footage of that somewhere. I'm sure you can find it. But I was in 3rd grade, and that was my. So this is so surreal. Just like full circle. Yeah.
I told you.
So Guillermo's been a gift, like just playing the character that I have people come up to me at Comic Cons who, I had a man who came up to me who was 58 years old, and he said, thank you so much for the character and the work that you do. And I was like, oh my gosh, thank you. And it's like, you coming out in that episode gave me the freedom to finally be honest.
In his 50s.
Wow.
In his 50s. And this is a man who's a family man, had a wife and kids, and something had been off on him, and he was honest with his wife and was, look, I think that this is who I truly am.
Yeah.
And the wife was understanding and has a beautiful family who supports him, but it was like, you don't know the power that a character can do.
Yes,
And I've been fortunate enough to play a character that has changed a lot of lives.
Yes.
So cool.
That's why representation matters.
That's
That's why representation matters. You know, we've been talking about the Trump administration cutting DEI initiatives, cutting off the path to representation. You've been such a champion for representation in Hollywood. Are you concerned about the impact that this administration is going to have on that?
Yes, absolutely. I feel that something's happening where we are being thrown a lot of things at once, and we're being shocked, and we're being desensitized. And I think that's scary, because eventually we start accepting another and another and another thing, and eventually we are so desensitized that we don't see each other as humans and have compassion, empathy for one another. And I think that's a very dangerous place to be right now. And I think that we have to remind ourselves that we're humans, and the reason that makes us different than anyone else is that we have empathy for one another. So please keep that in mind as we go into this episode.
Agreed.
Speaking of that, you know, there's a lot of news about the fires in Los Angeles, and I understand that you have a house in Altadena, which was bigly hit.
It was it was bad. The night that the winds were 100 miles an hour, I just had this feeling of like something's happening, because the fires were in the Palisades, and I live in Altadena, and I looked out my kitchen window, and I was like, what is that? And that was a red flame. Wow. Just out my window, just through the kitchen. I was like, those are the mountains. I usually see the mountains. It's beautiful. Altadena is a beautiful city. Yeah. And I thought, okay, well, I have to go. And I was leaving to my neighbor. He's 80 years old. He didn't evacuate. He was like, I've been here 53 years, Harvey. I'm not going. If I were you, I'd keep wetting your house. And I was like, you're right.
You keep what?
Wetting the house with the hose. Yeah. And so he had the brilliant idea. I turned on my sprinklers. I put those like little, sprinklers that you use when you're little. Yes. I put them on the rooftop, and I evacuated. 3 hours later, my Ring camera went off, and there was balls of flame falling from the sky.
Oh my God.
Wow.
That's
happened to
my
your
front
neighbor?
yard
What
right
happened
there.
to the 80-year-old
He didn't
guy?
evacuate. He saved the 4 houses in that block that survived were all thanks to Ronald. He saved our small little pool there, because right behind my house, all the way to the actual mountain is just gone.
Wow.
What
It is
about your
violent.
neighbors and your family? Are they okay?
I physically, yes, mentally, this is gonna take some time. I think going into this, no one thought it would escalate so quickly, and when it doesn't, these are people's lives. The reason I want to get a home in Altadena is because it was one of the first communities to allow Black and
yes.
brown families to raise their families and to pass generational wealth that wasn't offered to us, I'm a first generational homeowner in my family. My parents came to America with a dream, an American dream, as we're all allowed to do, to come to this country, and you have a dream, you are welcome, you are allowed to have a dream and make that dream a reality.
Yeah.
That's what we are entitled to. Yeah.
Well, Harvey, you're playing Eli in the new film Companion, which it's getting fantastic reviews. The first trailer was perfect because you have no idea what to expect, and the film itself is even more perfect. Some people are calling it a horror film, but others
I'm
are
calling it a horror film.
a romantic thriller with a side of murder. I don't want to spoil too much, but what can you tell us about it?
I think those are all great ways of putting it. I'm more curious to hear what your couple, the person you're with, thinks of this film when you exit. Because when I read the script, there was shock, value to the way that some of these characters talk to their partners, and I never realized that. Sometimes you see people paired off, and you're like, you talk to your wife like that, and you talk to your husband like that? And whether it be the future where we do or may not involve robots or love partners or whatnot, how do you talk to a human being or other is very telling of yourself.
Yes.
And sometimes when people say, oh, there's this epidemic of male loneliness, which is a thing, but also sometimes the male has to stop and realize maybe I'm.
Oh.
Hello?
Maybe I need to fix myself. How are you gonna?
Hello?
How you gonna?
I'm the problem. It's me.
Yeah.
I've been saying
Well,
this.
how are you gonna love someone else if you can't love yourself?
Yeah.
Okay.
Get
Oh my God.
Well, speaking of relationships, love, without giving too much away, Companion can make you definitely take a closer examination at your relationships and partners. Are you dating anyone at the moment?
No. No, actually was dating someone and I was madly in love while I was filming the movie, and Lucas Cage, who plays my partner in the movie, we're both in relationships. And we were talking about our relationship, we were together, we were so in love, we brought that to the characters, and then now we're both single. And I was like, do you think it was because we saw the red flags after we were filming it? And I think it is, unfortunately for me, I was in a situation where I didn't know at the time, but after finding out I was with someone who's a covert narcissist. And so you don't want to believe that because you're like, I love this person, right? And as you may or may not know, they mimic love, so they're showing you what they don't know any
They don't
different.
know how to do
And
it.
I'm a big romantic, so I was madly in love, and then looking back, I'm like, wow, I'm not the person that I was when I was filming that movie, and I'm not the person I'm going to be tomorrow that I am today.
Yeah.
So we all evolve. We all
It's one day at a time. Or at least that's what they tell me. They tell me it's one day at a time, day to day. Harvey, you just make this your stop anytime.
Thank you.
You're doing anything, or anytime you just want to talk.
I'm gonna take you up on that.
Yeah,
Okay,
do. And Brian knows that I'm not playing with him. Okay?
Brian?
That's right. Companion premieres in theaters only this Friday, January 31st. Go to the theater, go see a movie. It's okay, y'all. If you're nervous, wear a mask, but go into the theater and sit down and watch it on the big screen.